Morning, everybody. We're getting ready to do our live. Oh, shoot. We got to do our mics. Check. Not even on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are talking about depression, anxiety, and showing affection today, and we encourage you to invite people into our feed. Okay.
Hello. And good morning. Oops, we're not
connected yet.
Hey,
We're
Angela.
getting there.
Good morning, Marie Ann. Hello. Okay, let's get some technical stuff going first. We're letting the feed catch up, as always. Good morning, Joy. 1 second. And remember, with folks over on Instagram, you can join our feed. You can request to go live with us right now. You'll be on a video. We'll get to see your beautiful face. We'll get to interact with you. And we want to know what kinds of questions you have, and we will answer them on the show. And you'll be a guest on the podcast. Angela, if you have any questions, anybody here.
And you get a free workbook.
And you get a free workbook if
you do the Instagram one.
Yeah, if
okay,
you do it
are you
Instagram.
Ready?
I am.
And I saw it on his face on the battlefield.
Hello.
When you said we'll see your beautiful face.
That's one of the movies that I want to watch. Do you like that movie?
Yeah, I don't want to watch it again, but I like it. Okay, are we ready to start?
We are.
Okay, I got to get this intro better. What?
All right, go for it.
Okay, ready, here we go. Hello and welcome to AOM Radio. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning, my friends. My name is Seth Studley. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. Welcome to our show. We do this every day because we like it, we like to help, and we want to create the resources that we wish we had.
And we are talking today about depression, anxiety, and showing affection in marriage, and the combination of these things. And every day on AOM Radio, we do 4 things. We do a prayer, a gratitude, our intentions, and our Get Your Marriage On question of the day. Mm-hmm. And we encourage you to do these things together with your spouse. We're not doing it just for fun. We're doing it as a tool to help you have a better marriage. So do these things together. It doesn't cost you nothing.
That's right. It helped us, and it guaranteed will help you. So let's start out with prayer. Thank you, God, for your blessings. Thank you for today. Thank you for the trees and the air outside. May we all get outside and enjoy your creation, God. Thank you for this show. I pray that it is helpful to people, and thank you for your blessings. Amen.
Amen. Please be with those who are dealing with coronavirus.
Oh, dang it. No audio on Insta.
Just turn it off and start it over. Don't faff around.
So mad.
Just go fast.
All right. We'll go fast. Shared the story, but it's done.
Sorry, Facebook. We got to start over on Instagram.
1 second. Doing a podcast every day, you have these tech diffs, and that's what we're doing right now. But hopefully we'll be back online. There we go. Checking connection.
In 5, 4. There we are.
Okay. We are back on Instagram. Hopefully people can hear us. Somebody give us a thumbs up if you can hear us on IG.
Instagram.
Over there. Good morning, Melissa.
We're talking about depression, anxiety, and showing affection in marriage. Y'all missed our marriage morning. Sorry. Our 4 things.
Yeah.
So, again, we do our 4 things: our prayer, our gratitude, our intentions, and our Get Your Marriage On. Mm-hmm. So, with our gratitudes, this is what you're thankful for about your spouse. Mm-hmm. Talk about it with each other openly, right? This is on purpose.
Right.
So, do you have a gratitude to start us off?
I am thankful that yesterday we had a little snafu because I did something dumb and with something we've talked about before, and we didn't have a huge big argument. We had a discussion about it. I felt bad. You were hurt, and we made it through, and there weren't big, goofy yellings, misunderstandings. So Thank you for being understanding.
You're welcome. I thought you were going to say more than that. You are welcome for that. I did not remember to do my gratitude this morning. Oh, no, I did. Mm-hmm. Thank you for taking us to England in 2017.
You're welcome.
I know that sounds like a silly thing to say thank you for now, but I was thinking about it
2 years later.
I was 2 years later.
3 years later.
I was thinking about it this morning, how wonderful that trip was, and how I remember suggesting it and thinking, like, wildest dreams, we'll take Shirley to England, his 90-something-year-old grandma. It won't happen, but I'll suggest it and we'll see. And it actually happened, and I thank you for that.
You are like Anne with an E to Marilla and Matthew. Like you inject fun ideas, you inject life. That's kind of how we got married. You invited yourself to Japan.
We never went.
We never went. I was going to, and you were like, let me go. And we weren't even dating, but you did it, and that planted a seed. So.
I get what I want. Anyway, so that's what I'm grateful for. Our intentions, we, again, do these with your spouse. Your intention is the things you plan on doing better today in terms of your relationships. What are your intentions for your relationship. I have an intention, as always, I'm trying to work on being more positive, more physically affectionate, and more like telling you why I care about you.
Mm-hmm.
Like a normal human.
Yes.
Working on humanness.
Thank you for being normal. That's good.
What is your intention?
My intention is along similar lines to my intention is to not meet my upper limit thinking on what a husband should be. And I thought of this yesterday. And as what a father should be, also, that's an adjacent thing, but what a husband should be. I can have any limits that I want, and in fact, I don't want limits. In my perception of being a husband, how do I treat you, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I have it formulated in my mind, but that stems from a wonderful book that I've read a couple of times, because I apparently have to read books 3 or 4 times to understand them. It's called
The Big Leap.
The Big Leap by Dr. Gay Hendricks, I think.
Mm-hmm. You can get that on Audible. You can go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get The Big Leap for free from us, because we love you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a really good book.
It's a really good book, The Big Leap, and it talks about upper limit thinking and literally changing your thinking, and how sometimes you sabotage yourself when things are going good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of family of origin psychological concepts in that I'm very interested in, but then going through it for myself and then being able to share it is very helpful.
So your intention for today is to not limit yourself.
To not hit my upper limits and go, ooh, that's it.
So again, do these with each other. Talk about how you are going to be better today than you were yesterday as a spouse, and start finding your intentions through the things you don't do well.
That's right.
That's basically how you get there. And so now we're going to talk about depression, anxiety, and showing affection in marriage. I did not bring my computer over here. Dang it!
That is okay. So I remember this is a question that we got from
Instagram
a listener, and you can always send in your questions. And this question was talking about, my husband has depression and PTSD. I also have depression and anxiety, and we get into fights, and the caller, the
question
says we have little hope, and then we always end up getting in a fight and
blaming each other,
and the husband says, well, you just don't do affection to me, that's why I am whatever, in XYZ, that's why I'm more depressed, more anxious. Husband also suffers from PTSD, who has admitted that he has PTSD and has admitted that he needs help, but refuses to do so. So, in my experience as a psychotherapist, what's up, Jenny, who's also a LMFT? What's up? What's up, T? My experience with depression as a psychotherapist, this is not one of my scopes of practice. I've had clients with depression, I've diagnosed depression before, but I honestly struggle with having treating a client with major depressive disorder. It's just something. I find it really overwhelming, and this is normal. I admit it. You're not supposed to practice out of your scope, and that's not what I try to do. So this question for me, it is hard. I understand that depression is overwhelming, is just like a big heavy blanket on you all the time. And from the research, it says that people who suffer depression find the highest rates of efficacy, that means the things that are most helpful, by doing talk therapy regularly, and also psychopharmaceutical treatment. Medication, right? So I would suggest, if this couple is not on that, then they go just talk to a doctor. If you don't want to, hey Dan, if you don't want to go to counseling, if that's too overwhelming, I'm not going to talk to that person, then at least go to your family doctor and talk about your depressive symptoms, and they can get you some help they need there, right? I'll go ahead.
Well, and I think it's important to note that is, so I take anti-anxiety medication. Is that what it is? I can never remember. I take escitalopram, and it started by going to my regular doctor. And I thought, well, how do I do this? I don't know where I go. I don't know what I blah, blah, blah. I learned all of that from our kid going through a bunch of stuff this summer. And I was like, oh, you just go to your doctor. You just talk to I thought you had to go to a counselor, set up all this crap, and it's going to take me 3 months to find help. I literally went to my doctor's office, said, she handed me a form because I said I think I have depression. So she handed me the depression form. I filled it out, and
I think
she's
it's
like,
the PHQ something. There's a couple of different ones.
it's
yeah.
the MST3K. So she handed me the form for depression. I filled it out, and she's like, these are really high. Or no, I think it might have been anxiety or whatever, whichever one. She looked at it and she went, this is really high. Like, you have like top of the chart for all of these things. I want you to also fill out a form for anxiety. So she gave me the anxiety form, and of course I sat there in her office just crying because I'm like, I don't know what is going on. And this was
First you
literally
talked to
a
me
few
about
months
it.
ago.
You talked to me about it. So here's the thing. Medication, you don't have to go to a psychiatrist. You don't have to do all this stuff. You have to simply make an appointment. If you're thinking, first do your own research. It's always good to do your own research. Go to your PCP, your primary care provider, or your GP, general practitioner, which is your doctor, and ask a couple of questions about these. And Jenny, you may know this. It's the PHQ or the PQH9, and they have a couple of things. And this is just a very brief assessment where you ask yourself a couple of questions. And it's scaled, and
It's really
if
easy.
you do a 5 out of 10, then hey, you might be a good candidate for some sort of medication, right? Or you can talk to your counselor about it, where they will refer you to your PCP or another provider or to a psychiatrist. Tierney, we're going to read your questions that you wrote it on here. Let's see. As someone who was misdiagnosed with MDD for most of my adult life,
What's MDD?
Major depressive disorder. For most of my adult life, I highly encourage treatment with both a therapist and psychiatrist. Working with those together will change your life, and it may not be the right diagnosis. That's right. Yeah.
Were you saying something else that you didn't finish before she asked that question? I feel like you were taking the assessment.
I think that I was. You can talk to your counselor. You can talk to a friend. Like, I am a counselor, so we talked about it. Obviously, it's like, yeah, just go to your doctor. This is the one that works. So we have more knowledge than most people, just because I'm a therapist. Around that, it is easier than you think, and I don't want this to be as overwhelming as you may think, right? Because even for me, so we've talked about ADD, ADHD, and also mild anxiety. And I have some mild anxiety. It's just something I've lived with forever.
And you take medication.
Yeah, and I take medication for it as well, like a super low dose of stuff, and also ADD medication, which helps me focus. Very,
Does it? Does it?
I haven't taken it this morning. What's up, Curtis? What's up, Abby? So there's no shame in taking medication. If I had high blood pressure or anything else, then I would take medication for it. And I would do supplemental things, diet, exercise, therapy as needed for that. I'm not an advocate of just, let's throw a pill in there and don't do anything else. Don't do a lifestyle change, because that's not helpful, y'all. It's
not going to work.
Don't be like that.
And I will repeat that it is much easier to get the help that you need than you think it is. Start by just asking your doctor about it, and asking a friend. I mean, I found out that one of my closest friends has taken anti-anxiety medication for 20 years. I had no idea. I would never, ever think that. And it was big from me sharing, like, I feel like this, and I want to cry all the time, and I feel like nothing is good, and I feel like nobody loves me, and I feel like life is pointless. And she was like, hey, maybe you need help, and I got help, so maybe you could blah, 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 right? And I will say, with medication, there's different types. So I am taking a non-stimulant type of medication. I didn't know that was a thing, but there are types of it's like caffeine almost, right? Like not what.
Well, you're talking about the wrong thing. That's in a different class. Anti-anxieties are usually benzodiazepines or SSRIs, which are in a total different class. Stimulants are your methylphenidate, your Ritalin, your Adderall, your Concerta, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, but I'm not taking them. I'm not taking a stimulant anti-anxiety, which I could be, right?
I don't think there are stimulant anti-anxieties.
What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of something.
Well, anyway, I told the lady, so let me say it this way. Our son was taking medication that was a stimulant, and there was an option where he could take a non-stimulant version, and this was for ADD.
Right.
The stimulant version made him insane. The non-stimulant version is extremely helpful, right? So that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about.
That's for ADD, ADHD.
Well, just know that there are different types of medications for different types of things that you're going through. I'm not suggesting anything other than knowing that. So in our question, it talks about affection, depression, anxiety, and postpartum PTSD. Oh my gosh, that was really weird. And I wanted to talk about, because the question is, how do I build affection with my partner? I've been hurt by them, and we both suffer with depression and all that stuff. So the first thing I wanted to say, like we mentioned, get help. Lifestyle change is so important. You've got to move your body. Your body is designed to move. You got to get up. You got to whatever, which of course is stupidly hard when you're depressed. That's the last thing you want to do. But as far as it relates to affection in your marriage, my thought is that it has to start with a truce, like a white flag. You have to be like, we're raising the flag together. We are both saying, I give up on this old way of trying to do this. We have to come up with a new one together. And the thing that comes to my mind is like little children pointing their finger and being like, it's your fault, but it's your fault. You don't touch me enough. Well, you don't say thank you enough, but you don't touch me enough. Well, you don't say thank you, right? It's like little kids throwing stones and pointing fingers. There is never going to be a change unless there is a change, right?
So that's so perfect, I guess. So after our argument / I don't know what it was yesterday.
I felt like it was just a conversation.
I went back to the book, The Big Leap, right? And it was talking about upper limit thinking in relationships. And this guy's a psychologist, right? He's done zillions of hours of couples therapy. And he was talking about in couples, sometimes these things don't get resolved until the couples concede to take 100% ownership of something. So if there's a problem, it cannot be... it can't be, okay, well, it was 40% my fault and 60% your fault, right? So it goes back to that idea of, hey, Brittany, hey, Carrie, that idea of 100%. If we want to fix this, you have to be 100% responsible for your contribution to whatever it was, and I have to be 100%, right? So that equals 200%, because if you're doing 110, I'm doing 90, it's not there, So a little argument with a kid, well, it's your fault. Of course, kids are in a completely different developmental stage of thinking, so they can't take on 100% really. They don't know to do that. But until they do that, like if Mariner and Hattie, got in a fight or whatever, and Mariner's like, I am 100% guilty of doing that. I take responsibility. And Hattie was like, you know what? My actions were completely my own. You're right, Mariner. Until then is when you can get somewhere, right? So in this couple, when both folks are struggling with depression and anxiety, neither one are going to fix either one, right? It's not going to be like, okay, the wife, you're right. I will touch you more and give you that affection, although you've been very absent and you struggle with these things and you don't have your stuff figured out. I'll pick up that slack for you. That's not going to work. That's not going to be sustainable, right? So to really answer and dive into this question is, we have to do our own work, no matter if it's depression, PTSD, anxiety, postpartum, any of this stuff. You have to do your own work before you can bring yourself fully to your partner, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think one of the things that is helpful about that is this is not what you've ever done before. You've never done a truce and be like, nope, we're starting over together, right? And so I would suggest that idea, but there's a second part to it where you have to now have a vision. Right? You have to have a goal and a vision, a bigger, larger picture goal and vision for what you want your marriage to look like moving forward. Not what does it look like? Well, I'm mad at this and it's your fault and if you would just, it's not that. This is, what do I actually want? What if in my wildest dreams, all my wishes came true within my marriage? What would that actually look like? And it is very hard to imagine a new future. Typically, we can only remember what we've already experienced in a relationship. But I want you to really imagine something different. Envision it in your mind. I'm going to give you a real life example. Last night, I was having this vision-y moment. I don't know what you call it. I was envisioning? What is the word?
Just you were
visualizing.
Visualizing.
I was laying in bed. Like, for real, I was laying in bed, and I'm like, I want tomorrow to go better with the kids. I want tomorrow to be less negative. I want it to be more productive. I want the kids to feel happier. How would I behave if I was those things? If I was positive, kind, if I was like a helpful mom / teacher, what would I look like? What would I say? How would I talk to the kids? And so I imagined the scenarios that happened yesterday. So like our daughter takes an hour and 45 minutes to do 5 questions for some reason. She got so up, she cried like for an hour yesterday, and I'm like, what is going on? So I replayed that scenario in my head, but with a different behavior on my part. and I replayed, like, what would I have said if I was kind, patient, loving, attuned, whatever that is. And it's so trippy to see yourself acting in a way that you've never acted. So hear that again. See yourself acting in a way that you have never acted towards your husband. Don't blame. Don't, like, fault find. Don't nitpick. Don't say, well, I'm depressed, I can't. Well, I have PTSD, I can't. Envision a different way of being with your partner that you never have done before.
Right. So that's kind of like the miracle question that I've talked about before in solution-focused therapy. What if the problem you're facing now, by some magic formula, was not the problem tomorrow when you woke up, right?
Think about how scary that feels.
Oh, it's
You're
terrifying.
used to that problem.
You're used to that problem. It brings you certainty, even. Certainty. Certainty of a bad thing, that sucks. But we get used to these things, right? And we tell ourselves, and then we begin to believe it. I'm just that way, right?
Oh, I can't because I have this.
I'm just depressed. Or, okay, I'm just, then this is speaking from truth. I just get overwhelmed when things are too much.
Yeah.
That's just me. My dad was that way. I just get overwhelmed. I kind of,
Yeah.
you know, that is not freaking true.
Yeah.
Well, me saying that to myself is true, right? But I am not that at all.
Imagine if you didn't get overwhelmed. What
Right.
would you do? Because
What
that is
would
the
it-
actual answer.
What would it look like if you were a person that does not get overwhelmed when things get hard? Oh man! So you plant that seed. In fact, I was seeing a counselor. This was a long time ago when I was in school, a different school after grad school, and the counselor said, what would it look like if that was not part of your life? And I was literally blown away. I've asked that question to my clients before 100 times, but he asked me, and I was,
You melted.
I was just like, I don't know. I've never thought about that. That's crazy. And it was so effective. So what would it look like if this thing that you're dealing with right now was not in your life?
And I want you to think about that even with the PTSD, because often we think, well, that's something you can't get over. That's just too much. Oh, you can't this and you can't that. But you know where it starts is hope, and hope is envisioning what it would look like when you are well, when you are getting better from this. So that's the sort of the second part. So the first part is you do your truce, you raise your white flag. The second part is you find your vision of what you want to become, your hope, you kind of cast it out there. And then the third part is you take that larger goal and that vision and ask yourself the miracle question, what would it look like if I was healthy? What would it look like if this thing wasn't here? And then you break it down into daily tasks. So this is the most important part, I think, is you go, okay, if I was healthy, I would be moving my body. If I didn't have this depression, I would be drinking more water, not eating microwave burritos, and I would be hugging my partner. Make that in a to-do list for yourself and do it every single day, right? Do all of those
Not eat
little,
microwave burritos.
I don't know. You would do all of those little steps every single day, and then after 1 week, you would have hugged your partner 15 times. That's amazing. Or 35 times. That's so amazing. But you have done it with intention. You've done it with purpose. You've done it like all of these things. And then you can look back and go, I'm getting closer to my bigger vision. If we don't break it down into doable steps every single day, we will not achieve it. It's overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And you can set alarms for this. Set alarms in your phone for this. So go, I'm going to hug my wife right now, or I'm going to read for 10 minutes, or I'm going to do the 75 hard. Everyone should do the 75 hard. I'm going to drink a gallon of water. I'm going to make a homemade meal. Whatever that is for you. I'm going to go on a jog. I'm going to do like light yoga. I don't care what it is. Just do a thing every day that you purposefully put in your calendar to get you closer to your goal. Break down your bigger vision into doable, daily, tiny things, and then do them.
Preach it, girl.
I did.
Good job.
I hath Pratt.
You have Brad. Okay, let's.
That is your everyday wins. You need little tiny daily wins. Sorry, I meant to say that. And so do these things every day. There's no other way to get there than doing
Absolutely.
it.
I have a really good story about another thing that happened yesterday on a run, but I want to save that for another show because it was a really powerful thing.
On a run?
Yeah, when I was running.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't know what this is. Are you going to remember to share it? Probably not.
Probably not.
What is it about?
Well, I don't want to talk about it today because we need to wrap it up, I think, and it'll be inspirational for next
Okay,
time.
so we still have to do our Get Your Marriage On conversation starters of the day. Get Your Marriage On is the app that Seth and I helped co-create. you can go find it in iTunes or wherever. You can get it on our website, anatomyofmarriage.com, and push the button for the app.
That's
and
right.
it's our baby. It's our fourth child.
Thanks, Carissa.
And so what the 2 questions of the Get Your Marriage On conversation starters of the day. Number 1, and again, do these with your partner. Get the app and do them. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And I think I've asked this one before, but it's still really fun. What makes you the happiest about our family?
Our family, that we are fun and we like to have fun. Mainly singing and dancing.
Yeah.
That's just really fun. Like I think that probably since we've had kids, we have literally sang and danced every single day.
Maybe.
Just in the hallway or whatever kind of thing, and that's rad. I love it.
Instagram's
Reconnecting.
pause.
Sorry, Instagram. Okay.
I think
What
what
is
is
yours?
fun about our family, what makes me the happiest about our family, one of the things, there's many, but is the we like to try new food. Like, it's a fun thing, and we go to different places and try food, and I love the energy and the excitement around doing something new and adventure, like going into the woods and going into a landslide area. I mean,
Yeah.
just anything. We're like,
That's
all
why
things.
traveling's so fun, or even that's why just going into our backyard and like we found new rocks.
Yeah, I know, rocks.
So
We were excited about rocks.
Rocks in our backyard, which the backyard is huge. So
Yeah, and then number 2, what goals can we set for our family for this upcoming week? Can you think of any goals? And again,
Today-
ask these with each other.
today is Wednesday, and I have actually since yesterday, and I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, new goals on how I father the kids and how I parent the kids, and it is going to look like far less no's and more encouraging.
No's as in the word no.
Yeah. I like, no, don't do that. And it's going to be, and this is going to sound weird, but increased self-governing with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like the more
For yourself,
no, for the kids, I'm going to do less oversight.
you're going to
if that-
empower them.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Like less oversight and empower them and encourage them in that way.
Yeah, I like that. One of the things that I've started doing that is like it's a goal that we've started doing together with the kids, or I have, is doing their prayer, gratitude, and intentions in the mornings. But we're switching it around a little bit. So we do we do prayer, intentions, gratitudes, and goals. So we have our pigs, PIGG, and we write it on our whiteboard in the kitchen. And that is something that I think we did it yesterday. The kids really enjoyed it, and I want to do it again. And we make them, I make them go through what are they thankful for? What are their goals today? What are their intentions? All of it. And I think it's really helpful. So that's something I'm excited to kind of put into our world together and work on as a family. And I'm excited about it. But anyway,
Good.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember, you can get a free audiobook on us if you go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. You can get The Big Leap, which is a book that Seth mentioned today. You can get anything you want. It doesn't even Harry Potter. I don't care. But go there. It actually helps us out when you do that. And remember, do the prayer, gratitude, intentions, and conversation starters with your spouse as a way to connect. Do it on purpose before you mess up. Right?
Before you mess up.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
That's right.
Correct yourself.
All right, we will see you guys tomorrow. Remember to send in those questions. Hello@anatomyofmarriage.com. Love you.
We love you. Bye.